feed them to the sharks right now. Get them hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.
Welcome to episode 20 of the BJJ Campaign podcast. My name is Jeff Boone. I'm an A3 blue belt, one stripe.
This is Phil Coors, A2, blue belt, no stripes.
Hi everyone, this is Blake Cason. I am an A3, white belt, 3 stripes, fresh new stripe.
Nice.
Attaboy. Yeah, promotions a couple weeks ago. Very good. And we'd like to welcome Dr. Blake Cason to the podcast, just for all the listeners out there. He's one of Phil and I's main tools for recovery. I just called you a tool.
Yeah.
It's all worse.
and we
useful.
Just, yeah,
Useful is good.
that's right. Yeah,
Giant?
Yeah,
Giant, useful,
yeah,
Yeah.
helpful tool.
yeah. That's but tool nonetheless. And so we're fresh off of our adjustments. We'll post some pictures on our Instagram for that. And with that, welcome, Blake. Tell us a little bit about kind of how you got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so I've been in there for about a year now, here in February. So I was able to meet with one of my neighbors, real good friends, and I kind of seen him go through his process. He'd been there about a year or two, and he just really recommended me coming and checking it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to, because I know the ground game is just a whole other animal. So I went in there and met some of the guys, and then I started adjusting a couple of them, and joined the crew, and never looked back.
Awesome. Who was your neighbor?
Mark Yelton.
Oh, Mark. Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Mark
Okay.
and Mark.
Very good. Yeah, Mark, another one stripe blue belt. We got our blue belts at the same time. Mark.
day.
Yeah, same day. You weren't there, Phil.
That haunts me.
Yeah,
Like,
it's fine. It's no big
Don't
deal.
miss classes
I don't
very
really
often.
harbor any ill will
that
towards
haunts
it.
me.
You'll get more.
Yeah, not more blue belts. But so let's go back and you mentioned the ground game. For the listeners out there, Blake has been a Krav Maga practitioner for how many years? 4 years, and so I remember just bringing it back to the first time that you came in. Do you remember that?
To the class?
No, before the class. It was whenever
So
Charlie
checking it
had
out.
you in there checking it out. Do you remember who your first roll was with?
Was that with you?
It was with me.
I think I was wearing jeans.
You might have been. It
It was
was,
kind of an advantage if you think about it.
yeah.
But you won nonetheless. So.
Well, sure, of course. I mean, I was a 2 or 3 stripe white belt. I think I was a 2 stripe February last year, 2 stripe white belt whenever you did that. And I was first introduced, just for the little history lesson for listeners too. I was first introduced to you when I came up to your booth at Denver Days. You adjusted me there.
That's right, man. That was a good day. It was, Denver Days had a lot of people out that year. Sometimes it rains or whatever, but that was a good one.
It was a hot day.
Yeah, it was really hot. I remember that. Sometimes it gets that way at these festivals as a vendor, especially when you're adjusting people the whole time. But you guys had a booth too, and
Yeah,
we're doing your thing in the geese. I'm sure that was extremely hot.
it was a bit warm. It was okay. It was good. Anything to promote the school.
Yep.
So kind of with that, with your 3 stripes, tell us a little bit more about your journey, Blake. As we go through this and as we get further along in it, we get further away from whenever we were starting, right? Do you have any times or concepts where you were, you kind of had that revelation of, hey, I should or shouldn't do this, or what was your biggest, do you feel, jump in your progression with jiu-jitsu?
Avoiding pain.
Yeah.
Was a big one.
Yeah.
When the elbow locks went on, that's when you start kind of thinking about what you're doing. As a white belt, you usually start off just going crazy in there, depending on whatever you're into, whatever you're capable of. then that happens a few times, and you start getting the moves down, and and a little bit about where you want to be. The biggest thing for me was when I calmed down after being there for a while and started really listening to some of the upper belts and their recommendations as like, there's so much to do there as a new person. Why not just focus on this one thing that we've all done, which is, just survive and get some really strong base and frames in there and stop trying to go for submissions right off the bat, in the beginning. That's how I always got caught with that kind of stuff. But the more I learned defense is more my focus, and that's when I really knew that the patience was definitely a key factor as I'm learning.
Yeah, and that is a good lesson for all white belts is being on the defense and so for the listeners out there, we affectionately call our grappling dummy at the school Blake, and that was because.
And why is that?
And that was because Blake used to always, whenever he was mounted on his back, try to shove as hard as he could up, which is absolutely the perfect armbar position. He doesn't do that anymore.
I work with my arms out all day. I mean, it's just natural habit.
Yeah, you cut that habit out
Yeah.
though. That's
You fixed it. That was
We got a lot closer after that.
very good. So we're going to delve into a little bit of recovery techniques. As we just mentioned, Phil and I just got adjusted. I think it's really along with diet, along with supplementation.
There's a lot to it.
Along with stretching
Aspects.
that you're going to talk about, that you recommended to us. And that adjustment is a key part of our recovery and just being able, for me, at age 48, to do this 5 days a week.
You're 48?
I'm 48. Yeah,
I thought you were older.
yeah, I mean, I get mistaken for that all the time. 56, 70. But tell us a little bit about kind of how you developed your recovery routine, so to speak, and what kind of practice over the years that you've done with this.
Cool, good question. So I'm extremely fortunate to be able to get adjusted on a regular basis due to my profession and how I help people. And the other docs I work with in other towns, adjusting each other has really helped me, especially in the self-defense that I've just been doing over the years. So that really helps me to be able to move better. I mean, my range of motion is going to be much better than someone who's not than someone who's ignoring a dysfunctional joint. And when you're doing this kind of stuff, you're using your tools, your body a little more than the next guy who's not doing anything, because it's that and your work life, right? So you've got that whole area too. So getting adjusted has absolutely helped, and I've seen how it's helped all you guys, and lots of patients really. But the sports aspect of it is definitely recovery, getting to where you can get out there and keep learning. So also getting a good night's sleep's helped me. Really mastering that, because I'm kind of a night owl, but I always feel better when I have a good night's sleep, restful anyway, and that's helped. And a few other things that I eat and try to stay away from.
what is like a typical day, like if you're gonna train?
If I train, so I'll like everything, or
What
Like
everything
recovery
you do
methods?
related
Yeah.
to training, improving it, recovery?
Wake up from a good sleep. That's number one. If you're really going to train, you want to be serious. You start your day the day before, really. Try to eat a smaller energy-packed breakfast, and I'll go adjust patients for a while. And on the way, usually when I'm out in another town, I'll have another chiropractor adjust me, and we'll trade there, which is great. So I'm moving great, and then
Is that like a secret handshake thing that you got with other chiropractors? You just
it's actually it's a double wrist kind of thing.
Yeah.
They go together like
Okay.
this. 2 X's,
I got it. Yeah.
touching wrists.
Yeah, I like it.
I should have told you that. But
Yeah.
don't try it, because
I'll be like, yeah, I'm one.
there's something else after that that'll give it away. So you got to know that. But yeah, and I actually am a big fan of soups. A good broth, it really it seems to do well with me in my recovery. So I really like that. I look for that.
Yeah, the broth, the collagen in broth is a really important recovery tool.
Yeah.
As well.
It's a great little lunch.
And just speaking, you know, we reiterated that you, Jess, Phil, and I, just to give the audience members a little snippet of what benefit that I've gotten from it is that you know, you kind of early on instructed me on the benefits of stretching, right?
Yeah, that's a big one too.
And
there's a lot to them, honestly, but once you get them all in your routine, you know.
Yeah, and honestly, the stretching along with the adjustments, my mobility was crap whenever I started going to you, and I think you've seen it. And now, you know, not only my shoulders are better than whenever I started jiu-jitsu, which is an accomplishment in itself, but also my lower back mobility is much better. My hip mobility is much better. And so that's the benefit that I've gotten from it.
Great, that's awesome. Yeah, I was going to say that the lack of stretching is usually a pretty common deficit I see in my patients' lives.
Yeah.
The train, you know, so it's beneficial. You see it. It's as simple as it gets.
Yeah,
As we do it, do better with it.
Like I'll tell you guys, I hate stretching, but even though I know how much it helps, you know, it's made a huge difference in like between my shoulders, upper back. That's what I was complaining to you about all the time.
Yeah.
And you were adjusting it, but it just never fixed it, right?
Right.
You know, because the problem was still always there. And just those stretches to like open up your chest and stuff has made a huge difference.
Yeah,
and
they've
I don't have that
assisted
all the time.
in my adjustment, you know.
Right.
I always say that stuff helps your adjustment last a little longer.
Yeah, and it's so funny though to me. Like, I know it helps, and then I still sit there and complain about actually stretching, even though you know how much of a difference it's gonna make and keep making.
And you made fun of me in front of the class whenever we instituted our stretching at Fight to Win Denver.
Yes.
What
It's
did
very
he-
hurtful.
What did he say about you?
I don't.
Go ahead, Phil.
I kept it to myself. Number one.
You did not keep it to yourself.
Somehow he heard it.
Yeah, so Jeff was leading the stretching after class, and I think we told the story, but Jeff was leading the stretching after class, and after a sparring class, and I just kind of look around the room, and I'm not super flexible, and I do okay, but you'll look at some of the people, like Ashley or Gavin or something, I think we're both there,
Adelaide,
we're
yeah.
I mean, I'm unusually flexible rubber bands. And then I look over at Jeff, who's
Ridiculous.
telling everybody how to stretch, and I just kind of laugh to myself. And Jeff looks at me and goes, you know, what are you laughing about? And I just couldn't help but notice that the least flexible person in the room is leading the stretching. And it's almost funny, you know?
It's the blind leading the blind, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was funny. At my expense, it was funny.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no. It's total truth.
But now, you were doing the stretching the last time, and I think that was harder than jiu-jitsu.
He can do splits now.
Whatever movement you
It's
were
a
doing
serious
was
stretch
way
like
harder
that.
than what we did in class. I couldn't figure it out, and I was like, I don't know what he's doing.
For those of you who are wondering what stretch that was, I posted about a week ago I think it was the 10 stretches for mobility in BJJ, and I was doing the one stretch where it was the 90-90 and you were coming up on the opposite foot and then dropping back down. So if you want to see that, that's posted on our posted a link on our Facebook page, and so you can go and see that. Going through things, Blake, what do you see as some of the common injuries, and specifically some of the common injuries that you can help?
Definitely neck. I see neck and rib like all the time. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially from this class, honestly.
And ribs are painful. That's a whole nother approach to adjusting somebody. But you know, if they have some issues through their mid back and around their rib cage, if you look at the anatomy, you'll see it. You know, you usually think it's something else, and it's actually pretty painful. But you know, the rib misalignment or injury or sprain strain to the rib cage, stuff like that. That's common there. So we can help with that. But you know, definitely a common one I see even in practice. But here it's kind of a new mode of injury, like a guillotine 18.
Yeah, traumatic.
Versus a car accident, but they're about the same if that means anything to you guys. Yeah, but so I'll see that. You know, when I first started, probably about my 3rd month in, I got a nice little neck injury. It was actually a hyperflexion where my chin goes to my chest, and I strained on top of that, trying to push away like a white belt would do. I was
Just pulling your spine.
Yeah, I was just like, you know, I was surprised it was still attached when I got up. But my arms were moving, which was good. And then I felt my toes later that night. So, but yeah, so I was actually, I just couldn't get out of it, you know, anyway. So, yeah, so I hurt my neck with that, and it was really sore, you know, with movement and everything. So I did, you know, my protocol, which is get adjusted, you know, absolutely keep your mind on it all the time for it to heal itself, and use a little ice on the area at night before I go to bed. Stay away from anti-inflammatories. Stay away from any of that kind of stuff, because it was letting my neck heal, which is actually what it's supposed to do. That, you know, the inflammation process is your body healing itself. So you really want to help it, let it do its job, and that sort of thing. So anyway. So I hurt my neck there, and I see a lot of the neck injuries through this, and you know, we get you guys adjusted, and it probably took me just under a month of really feeling like it was stable again, because you know, I'm still going to class during this. I probably took maybe a week off because I just didn't want to re-injure the neck or anything, but I wanted to get in there and keep moving. And you're not as strong through that area, you can tell. And you go a little slower. And I let everybody know. I was like, just don't mess with my neck right now. And everything was cool. I mean, it was great. So
And just
got stronger over time.
Yeah, just to take a pause there. I mean, that's a really good point for our listeners, that if you know you've got an injury, make sure whenever you're rolling, you let your partner know, hey, I've got, you know, either a sore rib, and both Phil and I have been through that. They even call it jiu-jitsu rib. You know,
great name for it.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu rib. Both Phil and I have been through that, and it's a 4 to 6 week recovery. You know,
I've seen
really
longer.
tough. It could be longer.
It's the
if you're not doing
recurring
active.
injury that you got to look out for. So you want to strengthen these areas that get injured after you get them ready and get a good solid foundation. Return the function to that area so that injury can heal. Then you want to build strength around that area, which is a process. It all takes time, really. It should be included in everyone's training. Is that sort of mindset?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Phil, you have anything?
I did, and it left. It'll come back though.
Okay, so let's we'll probably shift gears a little bit, but come back to this with regards to injury, because injury recovery. Oh, I do know what I wanted to ask. You said no NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories.
Yeah, I don't like them.
I don't either, and I don't take them. But how about anything like ginger and turmeric whenever you're doing that?
Those seem to work really well for people. Usually the patient's already doing that sort of stuff. You know, maybe 10 or 20 years ago, you'd have a chiropractor explaining a lot of this, but a lot of the patients these days are informed. Some are misinformed, which is kind of a different approach. But a lot of them that are really, especially ones that take care of themselves, you know, they're really inquisitive about their health. And they find these natural supplements to really to help them with their recovery.
Would you? So you said that the inflammation is part of the natural healing process,
Yes,
right?
it's there.
So would you say lay off? And this I'm asking because I'm genuinely inquisitive about it. Is would you say lay off the ginger and turmeric if you've sustained an injury, or do you think to keep on going with that?
I wouldn't say lay off of it. I mean, if it's helping, if you feel a noticeable difference and you're being consistent with it, I mean, it's not something that happens overnight, I don't think. That's something that your body's got to, you know, build its relationship with, and then, you know, if it's helping you guys, then keep using it. But you just don't want to be taking the wrong stuff out there sometimes, you know.
Yeah,
It's kind of hard to navigate, really. There's a lot out there.
yeah, and I've posted on the
Educating yourself is the best part, how to navigate through it, though. So that's good.
And so for that, you know, I have a couple of recommendations, and if you have some after I give mine, I'd like to know that. But you know, Find Your Fitness. It's a podcast by Dr. Rhonda Patrick. She does a lot of supplement discussions on supplements. She's a physician. And geez, a bunch of the Joe Rogan podcasts where he talks about supplementation with his guests. So Find Your Fitness is the main one that I go to. Dr. Rhonda Packard, she's very good at kind of explaining that, the mechanism. She's well read, and so that's what I use as a resource, along with other, just reading articles that pop up on Facebook and other things. How about you?
What was the question again?
For recovery supplementation, where do you get a bulk of your information other than obviously your schooling, your formal training?
Banjo.
Yeah, that's good. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I love banjos.
You recommended to me one guy. I read some of his stuff. He had a website. I don't remember the name.
Yeah, who was it?
I don't
What
know.
was on there? Supplements?
Just supplement general.
Was it Dr. Pampa by any chance? I think that's what it was.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Well, I find myself going to, a lot of conferences, seminars, throughout my career.
And you see a lot of the different providers out there and a lot of the products out there, and you really can see, you get to meet some of the owners and the guys that are helping get that to their patients, and you check their integrity out first, versus them just selling you some kind of new snake oil or something, because that's out there, right?
Sure.
Last year I found a good group. They're called Systemic Formulas, and they do detoxification. They do different conditions with different organs. They have different protocols for anything really. Sport recovery, of course, just your regular maintenance. They've got a lot of cool stuff out there. Definitely have turmeric and ginger. Might want to check that out.
Well, that's in my daily supplementation
Yeah.
routine. So
So if you try to avoid the inflammation, how does that work with icing?
Oh,
I'm sorry. If you try to allow the inflammation, how does that work with icing?
So you get the inflammation usually from an injury or something, really from anything. Your body uses inflammation to digest food. Your body uses inflammation to heal cuts. Your body uses inflammation to fight colds, right? Viruses. If you're injured, that type of inflammation usually causes a little swelling. Now, there's a protocol to use ice the correct way and the wrong way, and why are you using it? So I would use ice. I was using ice not during the day, not to wake up, not at the office. I was using some ice to get my swelling to go down around my neck so I could lay down and rest.
Okay.
And I didn't, so like anti-inflammatories, painkillers, these sort of things, your body's talking to you and it's trying to tell you to do something. And it's usually stop doing whatever you're doing and listen to this pain. It's usually what it is, right? It's a great design.
Sure.
Simple. That's the beauty of it. It helps me sleep, and I wouldn't want to go to work, right, or go do a bunch of heavy lifting or get back on the mats because I feel better because I'm still injured. I was using it to kind of calm down after my long day, which is probably some extra swelling from work and the injury already in there. So this pressure creates, right, puts pressure on your nervous system, on your spine. The muscles around there are real, trying to guard it like a weight belt kind of thing or a neck brace.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what your muscles are doing really. They're constricted around your spine, trying to stabilize that injury, that reoccurring injury. And that's where some of the pain comes from. So it really helped me sleep. That's where I would use the ice the most. So if I'm adjusting somebody, a new patient, if they have just kind of the standard gradual onset of something going on their neck or low back, I will have them put ice on it before they rest, because the joint itself, I find it hasn't moved correctly in a long time. It's actually restricted, so it doesn't move properly. Usually it moves less, like it's locked. So if I start moving that, your body's going to use inflammation in that area, which is good to investigate and heal what just happened there. Just like going to the gym if you haven't been in a while, you're sore the next day. So similar after the adjustment. So I'll have them use that ice there so they can get that rest as well. Some patients don't even use the ice, but if they're like a level 10 pain, they have to rest. So just it's brief, right? You're only using the ice for maybe 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You take a big break between them. You do maybe 2 or 3 applications. You use an anti-inflammatory, that will actually affect your entire body, not just the area, depending on how much you take and how long you've been taking it. So inflammation, it can be good, and it's acute inflammation. Here's what I tell people: acute inflammation is good, chronic inflammation is bad. So
And how do you avoid that chronic inflammation?
figure out where the dysfunction is and why does that area keep getting re-injured or trying to heal itself all the time, or what is it fighting there, that sort of thing. Why is your body constantly repaving that area?
A lot of it goes back to diet.
Yeah, that helps too, man. That's another way to approach it, from the inside out. Things that you're eating like that, and how your body takes care of processes, the nutrition and whatever you're taking in, really.
Absolutely.
You're a big fan of the intermittent fasting, right?
I am. I've seen it work wonders with other patients of some of my friends that I went to school with. Some of the stories I've heard, and just knowing how the process works and what's really going on in there. It's a great book by I think it was Dr. Jason Fung. I think that's how his last name is Fung. But he was running a diabetic clinic up north somewhere, Canada or New York. I can't remember. Anyway,
Same thing.
yeah, snowy area, the tundra. No, so yeah, he was helping his patients reverse diabetic cases with intermittent fasting instead of taking a medication. Their medication, it's got a history of helping for a little while and not helping in the end, especially diet changes and stuff. There's all kinds of things, but the intermittent fasting really helped them. So then they started, other people started doing it for other conditions, and I think it's called The Truth About Fasting, something like that. I'll have to get you that.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to read this with this Dr. Jason Fung.
Yeah, he's got a lot of info out there, actually. So they use it in sports too. There's like a whole new following of intermittent fasting, and then using that to remove the dead cell waste and all these kind of cells that aren't functioning properly. Kind of like thinning the herd. Really, that's what your body does for energy, and it'll eat those cells, and you get energy from different ways. I mean, Jeff's done it before. You get there's a clarity that comes with it once you get to a certain spot. So then they fast, and then when they replenish themselves, what they eat, they go lift and train real hard, because some of your like your stem cell factors go up, right? They increase your growth hormone, stuff like that goes
Testosterone,
all that stuff goes up, and you go lift on it, and you get some pretty interesting gains, from what you're trying to accomplish. And those guys, they've been doing it for a while. So they do intermittent fasting, and then they'll do actually day fasting, 2-3 day. A good friend of mine just did it, Dr. Dave Lippert. Also check him out if you want to see some of the nutrition that he's getting into, and that he combines the intermittent fasting, the fasting, water fasting, and this type of nutrition plan that suits you and fits you, and get adjusted. He's a chiropractor, and they do well. They do really well.
Well, I think it goes to what we were saying before, and that is that a lot of people are treating the symptom, not the cause.
Yeah, because the symptom hurts, and that's what they're thinking about.
Yeah, and we have to kind of switch to that treat the cause, not the symptom. And whenever I started jiu-jitsu, that's when I started doing it. To see, because I was always sore and always, and overweight, and so the intermittent fasting along with the ketogenic diet really took down
the keto diet.
Goes
right in with that.
Absolutely. And so you mentioned the right way to ice. What is the wrong way to ice?
Wrong way to ice. How about using ice too much, and it's really chronic inflammation, and you're not really sure what's causing it? And when you start doing that wrong, you might go down the wrong path, and you're trying to fix it even further. So maybe overuse. Overuse is always big with anything, really. But one way is using it super cold and not putting something between your skin and the ice pack and giving yourself frostbite. Boom. Amazing answer.
Not yet.
Frostbite. How about that?
Yeah.
There's the wrong way to use ice. Frostbite.
Yeah, 100% there.
Nice.
Yeah, don't do direct application of the ice, folks.
Yeah.
It's, you know, put something.
Follow
in
the
there.
protocols.
Yep,
Correct.
exactly. And so switching gears, Blake, in your journey now where you're at, you know, you're proving that three stripe,
Three stripes.
you're starting to know kind of what's going on, right? You're not just flailing around.
Who to stay away from, who not to piss off.
And how do you piss people off? What do you?
Well, I don't know, you know, maybe I'll accidentally put my arm in front of them, outstretched like this. And that really makes them mad. I don't know, they just grab them and it's like, ugh.
But so
You learn to tap like this. It's like, I can do it.
yes, for those who are listening and not watching, it's a tap of, you know, of the verbal type and of the awkward hands type. So
You know, the upper belts, they do the foot tap. They do the shin on the ground and the foot tap. I've noticed it's a...
I don't know, I've never tapped an upper belt. So.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, that's true. That's funny. But I've only seen the foot tap. That's like the advanced tap, is using your leg to do it. That's funny.
But so we're talking about some of the things that you were concentrating on with defense. Let's talk about some of the other things that you're concentrating on and some of your goals that you have. Kind of, if you're interested in competition, if you're interested in, you know, things of that nature. What are some of your, let's say, and just for example, we'll say that training with a purpose it definitely shortens the learning curve. So what is your kind of purpose that you're going through right now, other than obviously being defensive with the upper belts?
Well, I'm not really looking at competition. I think about it a lot. I mean, you know, I would see how I think competition, you know, in the right setting can really exponentially increase your talents, because you test yourself to a limit to where you know what you're doing under stress and what's in there, right? You know your endurance, you know your skill set, you know how to see another guy doing his, and I really think it takes you to another level in your training. So I'm not quite ready for that. I definitely see myself getting a black belt, trying to get a black belt. That's what I see myself doing.
This year?
I'm thinking maybe next year.
Yeah.
You know, I got a wife and kids, so I'm not able to get there 8 days a week like some people, and so maybe next year.
Yeah, it's a good goal. Specifically on any of your attacks, defenses, is there something? So I'll give you and the reason I'm kind of prodding more is I'll give you, for example, we committed last week, Phil and I, to the audience that we were going to specifically train getting better offensively in the turtle position, meaning that we're the person that's on top, we have the turtle person below, because we're both kind of clueless in that, you know.
Yeah, we drilled it. It's not pretty.
Went really well, the drilling. I think we identified some gaps in our game, in our game.
Was it super lightly? Yeah.
Well, who was Donatello and who was Leonardo?
Yeah,
You were Leonardo, weren't you?
yeah, of course I was.
You were maybe Raphael. Yep,
Yeah.
you're Raphael. I could see that.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference there, folks.
I could probably be a
I don't think
Donatello.
I needed to
I'm
be-
not a Michelangelo.
Uh-huh.
Charlie's a
I don't think that needed to be
Michelangelo.
explained, yeah.
Well, some
I'm a
people
Donatello.
may not know.
Staff.
So kind of with that in mind, is there anything that you have like on the horizon? Is there something, you know, is it some offense, some defense specifically that you're working on from any given position, or is it just a position, you know?
It's positional. A lot of it is, and how to defend, you know, the other guy trying to do what he's trying to do to me. Because, like I said in the beginning, I'm a white belt, and I've learned through my self-defense and the training that I've kind of, you know, done over the past few years is don't rush it. Get in there and learn. You know, get your cardio and endurance up, and learn at the same time. Be able to do both at the same time, and then make decisions. That takes time. It takes patience and practice, really, to kind of develop that progression. So I know that takes time. So I'm in there, and I basically want to be able to defend and survive. They say it, especially at the lower levels. It's a survival, especially when the upper belts are starting to really get into it with you. Maybe second month kind of thing. But I don't want to be submitted, and I'd like to be able to make it very difficult for that person to try to set up one. Not so much submit them when they're doing that, but make it frustrating for them to get there, because that tires them out. And then once you're doing the tiring game back and forth, that really changes things. I mean, you see the skill levels almost start to not get even, but you see like what people are attempting to get even. So anyway, the escape, really, the UPA is one that I like to
We were doing that the other day,
yeah,
right?
and every time, I've been training with it and practicing, it's just those simple moves. That's what John always says. These basic, simple moves are something you'll take through all the way through your training.
I don't think any of them are simple. I think they are fundamental, and I do think they are basic.
Simple, yeah. Maybe the wrong
But
word.
there's a life. I mean, Murillo Bustamante. It was.
It's not really involved. I wouldn't say it's simple. It's more of a foundational
It's simple, not
type
easy.
movement. It's simple,
Yeah.
not in a negative way, but
No, agreed.
as
I
a
agree.
beginner, you're going to take that move all the way through your career. So it's important to have that, especially when someone's trying to kill you.
Yes.
Yeah. Simple, not easy.
Simple, not easy. There you
I've
go.
never heard one detail about the UPA that's complicated.
Right.
Just I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very, very good. And like I was alluding to before, Murillo Bustamante said, he's been doing jiu-jitsu for 40 years, and his last 15 years has been focused on the mount position and getting out of the mount position.
Yeah, there's
Kinda hard
tons
to
of them.
comprehend that.
Yeah.
Just line them up, start working on them.
I think Blake. I think that's a good plan, man. I think you're right there. I would say this. I would say that if you're thinking about competition, you're ready for competition. That's kind of the thing. And I will also say that for those listeners out there that aren't doing jiu-jitsu, and I can't imagine it is, maybe a couple friends of mine. Shout out to my boy Hager, who hasn't started yet. Because of their cardio, right? You were kind of alluding to
Huge.
It's huge. But guess what? It's like saying I'm sick, so I need to go to the doctor. But you know what? Before I go to the doctor, I want to get better,
Yeah.
right? And that's what it is with the cardio, because there is no cardio that's like jiu-jitsu. You can swim, you can run, you can bike, you can do all that stuff, and still, whenever you come in, you've got to be in jiu-jitsu shape. That's what makes you better cardio-wise in jiu-jitsu. So I would implore those out there who are thinking about starting jiu-jitsu, don't wait till you get in shape. You're going to get in shape whenever you do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, plus it doesn't really matter how in shape you are. It's not going to help you at first.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Holy level.
That it is. And so Blake, tell people, just a kind of a plug here. Blake does what's called the Onside Alliance. He travels to different spots in the Charlotte metropolitan area,
Lake Norman,
Denver, Cornelius Davidson,
there it is.
all those, and he adjusts people, and it's well worth it. I would highly recommend you see him or another qualified chiropractor for your recovery.
Absolutely.
And at the same time, the chiropractic stuff that I've noticed is it's kind of like eating better, where once you're doing it consistently for a while, you may not notice it anymore, but if you stop, you see a huge difference. Or, it's not the type of thing where you come in, like I had the back issue, that I was trying to fix for a month or, 2 months of you constantly adjusting.
Mm-hmm.
And until you're like, are you ever stretching and kind of, again, fixing the actual problem versus just getting rid of the discomfort in the moment, So that kind of stuff takes time, but I recommend the chiropractic people the same way that you recommend eating good or taking supplements.
Absolutely.
Like I can't see fish oil working, but I know it's doing something.
Absolutely. Agreed. So Blake, tell people where they can find you. And by the way, there's going to be some great pictures of Dr. Blake.
Yeah, don't judge.
Adjusting us. And
It's not what you think. Trust me. You got to meet me in person.
But tell people how to get a hold of you, how they can support you, go to your website, anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. So my office name is On-Site Alliance. Our website is called onsitealliance.com.
Nice.
I came up with that myself, the .com part.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the same name as my company. There's no hyphen actually. So anyway, it's Dr. Blake at the Lake, 704-820-0147. I practice out of Denver, North Carolina. I live out there with my beautiful family, which is also growing by another stripe.
Yes, congratulations on that.
Yeah, I'm actually
Third, get a boy this
third
time.
stripe. Yeah, boy. Got a boy this time. 2 beautiful girls, beautiful wife, and a little baby on the way here in June, July. So I'm a little busy with that. And I train over here with Fight to Win. You can definitely find me there on random days of the week. But yeah, so my office is over there in Denver, and throughout the week, Tuesday through Thursday, I travel around and adjust people at work with my mobile table. It's really fast and efficient, and I'll also go to some of their houses and adjust families there throughout my day, and that's where I'll make my rounds. We've got a Facebook page too, On-Site Alliance. Check us out there. We try to keep everyone updated, and I'm really actually very easy to get a hold of if you're looking for me.
Agreed. And thank you for coming on the podcast. We
Thanks,
really
man.
appreciate
I
it.
appreciate all you guys. I've had such a great experience meeting everyone with Fight to Win. Just my whole self-defense team with Krav Maga, and that's Lake Norman Krav Maga. With Nick Hughes, he's the man. Check him out, seriously. If you're serious about any type of training, or training at all, you really need to see what all's out there. It's great to meet great people, and he's a true legend, but true. So is that a legend, or?
Yeah, it is.
He's good at what he does, I'll tell you that much. So yeah, in the Fight to Win group that I've met, you guys are just a great family, and I've been able to help you guys. You guys have kind of seen how I am as a person, as a practitioner, and I think we've grown to be really good friends. So I just want to say thanks to John Plyer and Steve Hall with that whole group that they've all put together, and it just keeps growing. It's so amazing to see it. They've been around it. I've really kind of adopted some of that, hanging around and be in an environment that is good for growth, and this is definitely an awesome journey that's helped me with that. So
Well, jiu-jitsu helps you off the mats as much as it does
for
on
sure.
the mats.
I was gonna ask you how jiu-jitsu's helped you at work, but clearly it's because you met all of us.
Yeah.
And now we're your patients.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm taking more vacations now. I got a new car and everything, so it's great meeting you guys.
No, that's good. Thank
But you
you.
relieve stress big time on the mats,
Yeah, agreed.
for sure.
Agreed. And then Philly, tell the folks out there how they can support us.
Instagram is the most popular way, obviously, because we take great pictures and they're captivating. The YouTube page, we're putting all the videos up now. We're doing it on YouTube Live, so great job. This was live, Blake. Did you know?
I did not know that.
There you
Yeah.
go. You did great. It's not live. It will be.
It gets
next
better.
time.
I'm looking forward to our next interview when we talk about stem cells.
Yeah, very good. Ooh, a little primer for
The
things
new
to come.
fountain of youth. Is it really what it says it is? I'm curious.
Jeff's getting into the.
We need an
anti-aging,
expert.
so
We need a guinea pig. That's you,
That's Jeff.
Dr. Evil over here, and we need an expert.
That's me.
And he can be an expert on anything.
I watched a couple podcasts. I
Yeah,
think I know what
he's
they
a
do.
YouTube expert
Yeah,
actually. Those are the best ones around.
For sure. And folks, we've got on the website, bjjcampaignpodcast.com, we've got our BJJ Campaign t-shirts that Toro BJJ made up for us.
And we'll be at the Toro Cup March 30th.
Yeah, anybody who wants to come out and
Toro.
meet and train with the campaign, we're going to be training probably that Friday evening, I would suspect, whenever we go up there.
I think we're doing the podcast Friday evening, but we'll see how it
We'll,
goes.
we'll do both, Phil. I mean, we don't have to do one or the other,
All right.
right? I mean,
Okay.
we can do both.
All right.
But yeah, so we'll be at the Toro Cup supporting Joey Plyler in his match and all the folks
It's exciting.
there.
Joey.
So happy to be part of that. And go on and like us, leave us a review if you will. That'd be a great help to us. And if you're not out there to make yourself better each and every day, go out there and do something. Me and Phil and Blake, we choose jiu-jitsu. We hope you do too.
I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You
Excellent,
know the
man.
ground
That's
is
great.
on. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.